Okay, so today's video will be about different types of rocks. And this should also honestly be a review of primary school, but we need to go over the three types of rocks anyway. And also a note for this video, I'm out of red dry erase marker, so all of the keywords today are in blue, so make sure you write those down if you see it in blue. So there are three different types of rocks: igneous, metamorphic, and sedimentary. So these are three main types of rocks. Each type of rock looks differently because of how they're formed. So the reason there's three different types is because they're each formed in different ways, and that makes them look different. So our first type of rock is igneous. And igneous rocks are made from magma or lava. And remember that magma is melted rock that is underneath the surface of the earth. It's down in the asthenosphere or the mantle, and it's melted rock. So it's very, very hot and it's gooey. And it's called magma if it's still under the surface of the earth. And once it comes out onto the crust, then it becomes called lava. So the appearance of igneous rocks depends on how the magma or lava cools. So the first type of igneous rock is extrusive. So it's extrusive because it exits the volcano. And so extrusive rocks form when lava cools very quickly. So it comes out to the surface of the earth and it either hits cool air, or if it's an underwater volcano, it hits cool water. So it cools off very quickly. So these rocks can look two different ways. It can either be smooth and glassy, and I have an example here. So this is an extrusive igneous rock. It almost looks like black glass. It's very shiny and smooth. So that is an extrusive rock, this one. And this is if the lava does not have very much gas inside of it. So it's very smooth. It has a very nice reflective surface. So if the lava has a lot of gas inside of it, because remember when a volcano erupts, there's gas and ash and lava all coming out together. If it has a lot of gas in it, it will be rough and it will have a lot of little tiny holes. So that's what this one looks like. So you can see it's got a really rough surface and it has thousands of little tiny holes in this rock. And that's where all the gas was trapped when it cooled off. So this rock still cooled off really quickly. It just had a lot of gas trapped in it when it cooled off. So this is called pumice. And it is an extrusive igneous rock. So the other type of igneous rock is intrusive. And it's intrusive because it stays inside the earth. So sometimes magma gets trapped under the surface of the earth. There's these pockets or chambers of magma. And the magma cools off because it's still close to the surface, so it's a cooler environment than down in the mantle. So if the magma cools off slowly, then we get intrusive rocks because the magma stays inside. And so these are usually chunky and they have splotches of color. And I'll show you what I mean. So this is an intrusive igneous rock. And so do you see where it has the chunks of like gray and then white over here and different colors? So this is something that formed or cooled off very slowly, so it was able to form these different kind of colors and things going on inside of it. Okay, so it's splotchy and it's got like different colors inside of it. The granite that some of you may have on your countertops in your kitchen is an intrusive igneous rock. So it has those little specks of color that your mom likes a lot. Okay. The next type of rock is metamorphic, and metamorphic rocks are formed when other rocks are pressed and heated. So you have a certain type of rock to begin with, whatever kind of rock you start with, and it gets put under pressure and it heats up, and so it becomes a metamorphic rock. These usually happen in mountains. So the rocks at the bottom of a mountain, as the mountain lifts, it gets more and more and more weight on top of it, and so it presses down on this rock. So because they're pressed a lot and they have a lot of pressure on top of them, these rocks are usually flat, which makes sense because they're getting smushed, flat and smooth. So here's my example of a metamorphic rock. So you see how flat it is. Okay, it has a fairly smooth surface, and these rocks are usually very, very, very strong. So this rock, nothing's gonna happen to this because it's been pressed and compacted and it's got a lot of matter in a very small piece of space. So these are flat and smooth and usually pretty strong. So that is our metamorphic example. And then the last type of rock is sedimentary. And these rocks form when sediments, and this should be in blue, make sure you write that down, sediments are washed away and settle in one place. So a sediment is a little bit of rock that's a little crumble off of a bigger rock. So if we were to take this rock and smash it up into pieces, and we had a whole bunch of little pieces of this rock, those little pieces would be called sediment. And that happens either when a rock breaks or when water rushes over it over and over and over, or sand or wind, and it wears down the rock into these little tiny pieces. And so those are called sediments. Now those sediments are washed away. This usually happens in a river. So the water breaks the rock up, it washes these particles of rock down the river, and then they settle in one place. So eventually they fall to the bottom and they settle on the bottom of the river. Then it happens again. So later, another layer of sediment settles on top. So downstream, another rock will break up into layers and it'll wash down and it'll land on top of the sediments before. And then another one washes down and lands on top of that. And then another one washes down and lands on top of that. So these rocks tend to have layers, and these layers form stripes. So a sedimentary rock is usually pretty easy to find because it will have horizontal stripes, and those are all the different layers of sediment that have settled to create that rock. Now, while sedimentary rocks can be, various colors, the ones I've usually seen tend to be kind of earth tones, so tan, brown, red, or orange. And the one I have here has a little bit of tan in it. So you can see here where it has the stripes from the different layers. It has gray and white and kind of tan stripes running horizontally. And these are the different layers here of all the different sediments that have settled to create this rock. Okay, so remember there are three main types of rock: igneous, metamorphic, sedimentary. And then for igneous rock, there's extrusive if it exits the earth, and it is intrusive if the magma stays inside the earth. And each one of those types of rocks looks different.